hamne ne kudlukula nyepangi ragala gena hamne ne kudlukula ibuloke nungoto ni beti sola ibuloke dato ni betoto
Bege Congo
Lamin
na
Lamin te jibe norin te nyame Lamin
kabona
wulo kono nyinta mo Lamin
pabilenki
muna ngata afamole
hayna
no dole faburama
namu jumala kan kuma ni ten
faburama
jumala mu
ndele bare muso
lunda mana
famo kata
jamani mbere
ndo ko
jamani
bari koto man kontande
bari jamani fana na mundu
ngoto minaka ngalamin de fom filitala lamin jibe nori nyaala
lamin ila siran sama ne benki yala so tol sayni no ko mo ko momo
ngoto
nam
itedinte yalo ne lamin hakkilo diata bake karambugot anu santen ministry ko di ngole si suwo ko amake ko be holiday la
sibitun
bagona de
ala ni nyam ala ni ko kede namo balo
ala ni na ko na karta bulo be damna ala ni je
ngoto
nam
ngoto mon kontan feren
jamani mu ne keda
ifika lamin ki wulo ko no nyintay mon ko do fete malo lamin nyanta sila la be la moy kala karango
jamani karamol be soron ne ko fasita wulo ko nako
karambugol ma soron ni ko karambugol soron da amake kom holiday lem ngoto dini ngo nyanta sila la ala karango la moy yamen kabe man kontan anda mande
alla nyin kombo courant adan dal kombo len do la jan karamol le soron do kabe courant ma dal lo kombo e don do fana na karamol soron je karamol soron lamin ada lo nyino la man tara fe na sokon ala mu nekela
am lamin ite foyde malon ko lesinol be ke kar radio to
nga fine
e ko yana di mo lamin ya mu na fonye
ndambita nteri maning fatu ndambita la sukar ala dinngol bebe siri be la moyka
faru danso am fanan tambira jele ni subala la ngaje dinngol be je talanta nin kili warol e be seri jele
sa lamin fanante ku kili woke no la ba lamin bita ka wulo ko no nyin taymo alami
amandara fenela
ite dine ko di ma si yakari lesuno la moy radio to balon na
mu ne ka ke afonye ba nyara ni alon
telentel jikot
afonye ba mu ne be ke
ite balon tel be cikritel ni man karambe ku kele yaje nata karana mbasa malaya ay tarije
par ñarande kombo courant ho findira kombo ite nara yete ni sonka bay ko lamin manya tala wulo ko adu karam mo be so dafa nyembe be
ko to wole nati bawo ngalle ni lamin kuntala kombo courant o ka fa me kombo courant asototal wala kinay ko e sisu kono bari ni ko e sisu kono be karangol di ke la radio lin telel to hani tele masoto to nyaay man tele soto da bungo bar radio be bulen ko to batiri sanga ay si ay alamo
sa do kala
nyaadi ko ta o bulaji
ado kala nyaadi
kamun ke nyaadi
radio abo la mo la be mona falaje
ibe la karandirol kala jele
ti talle be radio ko men ka karande
ila subjector baby jele baby jele
wala nanga coco moy fa dan so wolya ngombe tambi kana ngadi ningol jebe ikadum bungo ko kada mar mo
a sototal de
la min mala be karawala de
bari laftalal ideal on ko inde every year second wala fourth
muna ni ko di ma ko nde ko folle sinila ba nde le sinilo ne ba
say mba foke en koto wole fango yen wulindi yalo famo keta bat ñu fadam bulata ko ko don meyen nati jambi la min nyanta karanal ndel beji ko be nyine ka ya bulay kara wulo kono ta kilar ya bambalo yo be bulaje koto dinni ngoy si ayala le sino la moy radio
wala ka munda karam mo man soro la min nyanta kara si so na radio
la sila le ayala le sino
dal ko korna ko smalo
kilar ya
ma be ngala ko momo say mi do ni fono kera
mengi bruce
ndelo ko la da ba rosa no radio ba no bari woro radio ni abe jele ba ngamra do man dembe buljan dala nyara nyar wo ko fendi mo la min tayra ba rosa
bara te ku folo ajibe nori nya labi tamete ku
teku
bari ko do famo ke
image nañu ñambol si jol le ke je kisgi man si jol no le kafun ka ñowa bari ñambu kino ni mañana ka finde ni nambe ko do la jang
ngalle limbeta de be ñambo do dilanna
ñara ni ko ritin fennat ñara nata
ko to bari famo ke da
ngata Tami bungono ñara mel ngando ko fele ko ke baru nganda ni pelo la ndija
iyo awa better la
bungono bismillah bisu diara
pendulala ye fongo tanka sina dolu tanka koro ta koro
Hello viewers and listeners, Welcome to another English session. Our last class we discussed verbs and we explained that a verb is either a doing word, action, or state of being. We also discussed main verbs and helping verbs. We also discussed the primary auxiliary verb and the modal auxiliary verb. And I hope you understood the lesson. You were given an assignment to do, which I hope you have. Let us look at the assignment and then we do the correction. The assignment was like, complete this table. What is in the table? You have lexical verbs, verb to have, verb to be, verb to do, and modal auxiliary verbs. You were asked to give 5 examples of each of these verbs. So I hope you have done it well. If you did it, you can compare your work to my work, and here it is. You can see lexical verbs. You have eat, go, sit, listen, and come. Verb to have, you have has, have, had, having. Verb to be, you have am, is, are, was, and were. Verb to do, you have does, do, did, done, doing. And the modal auxiliary verbs, you have will, would, can, could, must, oft, shall, should, dare, and need. So this was the assignment given to you, and I hope that you've done. We're going to start looking at regular verbs. We try to understand them and we use them accordingly. What are regular verbs? These are verbs which form their past tense and past participle by adding ed or only d to their base form. This means that if you have a regular verb, you want to use it in the past tense or past participle, you need to add ed. In some others, you add only d. If the word or if the verb ends in e, then you don't need to add ed, you just add this. But if the verb does not end in e, then you need to add ed. So regular verbs are also known as weak verbs. Example, attend, attended, attended. Now we said these verbs form their past tense and past participle in the same way. Example A, I always attend English lessons. This example is in the present tense. B, I attended the English lesson. This example is in the past tense. And C, I have attended the English lessons. This example is in the present perfect tense. We move on. Here is a list of regular verbs in present, past, and past participle tense. You were told that regular verbs form their past tense by adding d or ed to the base form. So here is a list of regular verbs in present, past, and past participle tense. Let's get them. Present tense in the table, past tense, and past participle. We have the words attend, attended, attended. In the past tense, you need to add ed, and past participle, you also need to add only ed. Now we have the verb walk. In the past tense, you add ed. Walked is not walked as attended. If we are to pronounce it in the past tense, the t sound must come. Walked. Instead of, unlike attended, if we say this, attend, be attended. But walk, in the past tense, this ed, we cannot say walked. What do you say? Walked. Like pronounced as walkt. So we move on. We have rich, rich, and read. Defended, defended. Hire, hired, hired. Now, in the case of hire, you need to add only D because the verb ends in E. So when the verb ends in E, you don't need to redouble the E to form the past tense. You only add D. So we have celebrate, celebrated, and celebrated. So the same thing applies because the verbs end in E. Now what do? Add only D. Called. The base form is called, the past tense is called, and the past participle is also called. You said, I always call you. In the past tense, you said, I called you yesterday, but you did not pick. In the participle form, you said, I have called you, but you did not pick. So we look at other examples here. Deliver, delivered, delivered. Killed, killed, killed. We have knocked, knocked, knocked. Play, played, and played. We also have dance, dance, dance. In the case of dance, again, you don't need to add ed. What do you need to do? Just add d because the verb already ends in e. We move on. We also have words like help. You add ed to form the past tense, that will give you help. Another ed to form the past participle will give you help. Now lie, L-I-E, the past tense is L-I-E-D. You lied to me. It's different from the other lie when you lie in your bed. You lied to me. The past participle will be the same thing. You have lied to me. Invite, you add D only because the verb already ends in E, so you don't need to add ED. So what do you say? Invited. All right, invited. Add, you add ED because the verb does not end in E. What do you say? Added, added, added. I add some salt in the sauce. He added some salt in the sauce. She has added salt in the sauce. So you can see. So we have the verb carry, carried, and carried. Now if you look at the verb carried, if you want to change it to past tense and past participle, you need to make some changes here. The Y should change to I, and then you add ed. You cannot add ed directly. This unlike the word play. Now look at this here. When I give you the word play, P-L-A-Y, in the past tense, I give you this, ed. But here, C-A-R-Y. In the past tense, C-A-R-Y-E-D. You cannot say this. What do? This I, this Y must change to I. And you add ed. So when you have this, you do this, and then you change the Y to I, and then you add this. That's how it works. So we move on. We have the verb attacked, attacked, attacked. We also have the other verb care, cared, cared. Booked, booked, booked. Now, book can be a noun. At the same time, it can also be a verb. You can say this is a book, fine. But you can also say, I booked my place. All right? He booked that table for his friend. In that case, book also is a verb. We'll take the ed past tense. So we move on. We have table, tabled, table. Now, table could also be a noun. A table is a noun, but it can also be used as a verb. We said the minister tabled the motion before the parliamentarian. So in that case, table is a verb, and the past tense takes ed, and the past participle takes also ed. You said he has tabled the motion before the MPs. So we move on. Honor, honored, honored, etc. So in short, regular verbs form their past tense by adding d or ed. We move on. Irregular verbs. These are verbs that don't have regular patterns to form their past tense and past participle. What do we mean by that? The regular pattern here is that there's no specific patterns that the verb will follow to form its past tense and past participle. They are unlike the regular verbs. You were told that regular verbs, you need to add ed or only d with regular verb. But irregular verbs, they don't have that particular pattern. They form their past tense and past participle in different ways. So we look at this. This means that their past tense and past participle can be formed by adding ad or d only. Instead, they are formed differently. Irregular verbs are also known as weak verbs, strong verbs. Irregular verbs are also known as strong verbs. Example, go, went, and gone. Now look at this. When you say go, in the past tense you cannot add ed and you cannot also add d. But what do? When you say go, the past tense you say went, and the past participle you say gone. You say, I go to work in the morning, present. I went to work yesterday, past tense. I have gone, present perfect tense. So these are irregular verbs. We call them strong verbs. We move on. How irregular verbs form their past tense and past participles. Irregular verbs form their past tense and past participle in many ways. They are unlike the regular verbs that would take only d or ed. These ones, their past tense and past participles are formed in different ways. Here are some examples. We look at this. Some regular verbs form their past tense and past participle in the same form. That is, the past tense and the past participle are the same. There's no difference. Like, if you look at the verb catch, the past tense is what? Caught. The past participle is what? Caught. If you look at the verb buy, the past tense is bought. The past participle is what? Bought. You said, I want you to buy a new exercise book for me. He bought a new exercise book for me. He has bought a new exercise book for me. We look at the word meet. The past tense is met and the past participle is met. We said, I met him yesterday. I have met him in the past participle. Learn. The verb learn may take either ed, regular. It can also take the irregular form nt. Learned, learned. I have learned that you've traveled. Or I have learned that you come. Either way is accepted. Whether you put the ed, regular, or you put nt, irregular, is also accepted. Lay, L-A-Y, to lay an egg, the past tense is laid, and the past participle also becomes the same. We move on. Some irregular verbs have their past tense and past participles formed in two acceptable ways. Some irregular verbs have their past tense and past participles formed in two acceptable ways. What are the two acceptable ways? You can see them here. The word spoil, if you feel you can add ed to make it past tense, otherwise you add t to make it past tense. Spoiled, spoiled. The pronunciation remains the same in the past tense. Their past participle also the same thing. So we have the other word dwelt, dwelt, the same. Dream, it can take ed, regular. It can also take the irregular one, dreamt. Wet, wedded, it can also take wet. The same thing applies to the past participle, wed, wedded, and wed. Learned, learned, learned. Spell, spell, you can add ed if you like. You can also change it. Instead of adding ed, but just add another t, would give you spelt. I spelled the word correctly. I spelled the word correctly. I can either write it this way or I write it this way. Either way is. So we move on. Good. We look at this. Some irregular verbs maintain their present tense in both tense and in past tense and past participle. This means that you have some irregular verbs that they don't change. They don't take the inflection ed or any other form to show their past tense and past participle. So these irregular verbs, their present tense and past tense, past participles are the same. Nothing changed. Let's look at this example. Broadcast, broadcast, broadcast. Broadcasted is broadcast. You said the news was broadcast, not the news was broadcasted. Okay? In the past participle, you said he has broadcast the news, not he has broadcasted the news. So the ed does not apply here. So in this case, the present tense, the past tense, the past participles are the same. We look at number 2, cast, cast, cast. You don't say casted or cast plus T. You say they cast their vote, not they casted their votes. The electorate cast their vote yesterday, not the electorate casted their votes. So the verb cast does not take an inflection ed. So we have it cast, cast, cast. We have the verb cut, cut, cut. In the past tense, you cannot add ed, you don't say cutted, you simply say cut. You also have bust, 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 bet, 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 hit, hit, hit. You don't say hit it or whatsoever. You say hit is hit in the present tense, in the past is hit, in the past participle is hit. You say the driver has hit the dog on the road. Cost, cost, cost. Put, put, put. The verb put cannot also be inflected with ed. You don't say put it. What do you say? Put, put. I put my pen on the table. I have put my pen on the table. We have also set, set, set. Split, split, not splitted. And we have spread, 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 not spreaded. You cannot say the spreaded lies against me, but instead you say the spread lies against me. So these irregular verbs, their present tense, their past tense, their past participles remain the same. Nothing changes. We move on. Some irregular verbs form their past tense and past differently. That is, they don't follow any pattern. They have a different way of forming their past tense and their past participle. So here are some examples. Forget, in the past tense, forgot. In the past participle, forgotten. Drink, drank, drunk. See, saw, seen. Sow, sowed, sown. Bite, bit, bitten. You can see they don't follow any pattern. Remember, the previous rules tells you that the past tense and the past participle are the same. Other rules tells you that the past tense and the past participle take ed, but here it is telling you that they are different. Now we look at this lie. Good. Remember this. Lie, to lie, to say something which is not true, the past tense is lied. But this one, lie, to sleep, the past tense is what? Lay. And the past participle is what? Lain. So take this example. When you look at this, lie and lie. This one, ed, past tense. Okay? Ed, past participle. Now we come here, past tense, lay, all right? And the past participle here, L-A-N. The same pronunciation, the same spelling, but different meaning. So when they mean differently, then that's the time the tense change. I lie down. I lie down cannot work, because this lie is the past tense of this when you say something which is not true. All right? But this one is when you sleep in your bed or when you lie in your bed. You said lie, lay, lain. So we move on. Was, been, know, knew, known. Eat, ate, eaten. Fall, fell, fallen. Go, went, gone. Sing, sang, song. So you see here, irregular verbs form their past tense and past participles in different ways. There is no strict pattern which is followed to form the past tense and the past participle. We move on. Now, we're going to look at another aspect of verb, which is verb transitivity. What do we mean by verb transitivity? Verb transitivity has to do with what type of object a verb takes. Previously, we discussed the functions of noun, and then there we discussed that noun can function as object of the verb. So here also, we're going to discuss the type of object a verb takes. There are three types of transitivity, namely transitive verb, detransitive, and intransitive verbs. What are transitive verbs? A transitive verb is a verb which takes a direct object. It is also called monotransitive because it takes only one, a direct object. For example, he painted the wall. Where's the object? The wall. Where's the verb? Painted. Where's the subject? He. He did something. What did he do? He painted. What did he paint? The wall. The other one is she kicked the ball. What did she do? She kicked. What did she kick? The ball. So here the ball becomes the object. Remember we discussed that the object receives the action of the verb done by the subject. So here if you look at the subject here, she did something. What did she do? Kick. Who suffered the kicking? The ball. John answered her. So the object here is her. What is the verb? Answered. So John answered her. The lion attacked the hyena. Modus scored the goal. So if you look at all these verbs have a direct object after them. You can see the direct objects that are underlined and they came automatically after the verb. So you can see them. He painted the wall. She kicked the ball. John answered her. The lion attacked the hyena. Modus scored the goal. We move on. The other one is the transitive verb. It is a verb that takes an indirect object and a direct object. Transitive verb takes only a direct object, but the transitive verb or the transitive verb takes both direct and indirect object. You can see the examples here on the board. I gave him the pen. Here you have two objects. One of them is him, and the other one, the pen. Which one is the direct object? The pen, because the pen receives the action. You said, I gave the pen to him. So we said they awarded the teacher the best prize. They awarded the teacher the best prize. So here you have two objects. One of them is they awarded. The other one here is the best prize. So here, the best prize is the direct object. The teacher is indirect object. Because what they actually awarded is the best prize. Modu bought her mother a car. Here we have two objects, a direct and indirect. As we discussed earlier, the transitive verb takes two objects, direct and indirect. So if you look at this, Modu bought her mother a car. A car is the direct object. even though it didn't come after the verb, because that's what Modu actually bought. So her mother becomes the indirect object. So you can see the indirect objects are in red color and the direct objects are underlined. So we move on. She lends me the book. Here also you have two objects, me and the book. She lends. What did she lend me? The book. So the book here is the direct object, and the indirect object here is me. So I gave her the money. So the same thing applies, money and her. Here money is the direct object because that's what I actually give. So we say the direct object always receives the action. So we understand that the transitive verb take two objects, direct and indirect object, unlike the transitive verb which takes only direct object. We move on. Intransitive verb. An intransitive verb is a verb that does not take a direct object, meaning that the verb does not take an object. Therefore, we understand that not every verb takes an object. Some other verbs don't need an object at all. Let's look at the verb sleep. In the past here, slept. Either slept. You cannot say either slept the bed. You cannot. You said he runs fast. You cannot say he runs the road or he runs the highway. So these type of verbs don't take object, or they don't take a direct object. We also have number 3, she claps loudly. So you can see all these verbs don't take a direct object. So these verbs, we call them intransitive verbs. So any verb that doesn't take a direct object, that verb is known as an intransitive verb. And a verb that takes a direct object is called a transitive verb. A verb that takes direct and indirect object are called the transitive verbs. We move on. Now we move on to another one, finite and non-finite verbs. So we start looking at finite verbs. A finite verb is a verb which shows number and tense. When we talk of number, we mean singular and plural. When we talk of tense, we're referring to present tense, past tense, and past participle. A finite verb will actually show that. It's unlike the non-finite verb, which does not actually show tense and number. This means that the verb takes both singular and plural depending on the subject in the sentence. This is because the subject always dictates the sentence in writing and in speaking. That is, when the subject is singular, the verb must be singular, no matter what. Singular subject goes with singular verb. So we understand that finite verbs may be singular, may be plural, depending on the subject. It also shows the time in which an event happened. Now consider the following examples. He always calls the teacher. If you look at here, calls is in the singular form. And example 2, they always call the teacher is also in plural form. So you can see the number that the finite verb shows. So we said he always calls. Here the finite verb shows a singular. They always call, the finite verb shows a plural. Unlike the non-finite verb. They called the teacher yesterday. Here you can see they called the past tense, which is the tense in which the verb shows. So they called the teacher yesterday. We move on. Non-finite verb. A non-finite verb does not show number and has no tense, unlike a finite one. This means that the subject of the sentence does not affect the verb. Whether the subject is singular or plural, the verbs remain the same. So non-finite verb cannot be the main verb in a clause. Let's consider the example. My sister likes to watch Nigerian movie. Here the non-finite verb is to watch. All right? So the main verb here is likes. Example 2, my sisters like to watch Nigerian movies. Here you are told that non-finite verbs don't show numbers, all right, and not tenses. Here, sentence 1, my sister is singular, to what? My sisters is plural, to what? The verbs remain the same, it doesn't change. All right? They wanted to clean their house. All right? He wanted to clean. So that to clean, to what doesn't change irrespective of the subject. Whether the subject is singular or plural, the verbs remain the same. We move on. So we're going to look at dynamic verbs and stative verbs. When we talk of dynamic verb, it is a verb that can be used in progressive aspect, ing. That a verb that can take ing. Not every verb in English language can take ing. Some other verbs don't take ing. For example, you can say eat, eating, walk, walking, read, reading, write, writing, sing, singing, etc. So you can see them. She was eating, they were walking on the street, I am reading my book, he was writing exam, they are singing a nice song. So these are dynamic verbs, they can all take ing form. Now we're going to look at stative verbs. The stative verbs cannot be used in a progressive aspect. That is, they cannot take ing. Not every verb takes ing. This is because it does not express an action, but rather describe a state. So if a verb does not express an action, that verb cannot take ing. So here we have the examples like understand. You don't say, I am understanding you. Understand doesn't take ing because it's a state. Like, you don't say, I am liking you. Against, you don't say, I am against the motion. You said, I against the motion. Here, you don't say, I'm hearing you, because here is a state. You said, I hear you, or I can hear you. See, you don't say, I'm seeing you, because see is a state. It's not action. Okay? So we also say recognize. You cannot say, I am recognizing you. There's nothing continuous in this type of verb, therefore they cannot take ing form. Always say, I recognize you, I see you, I can see you, I can hear you, I like you, all right, I understand you, instead adding ing verb. Good, summary. Regular verbs are verbs which form their past tense and past participle by adding ed or only d to their base form. Irregular verbs which don't have regular patterns to form their past tense and past participle. Verb transitivity has to do with what type of object a verb takes. A transitive verb is a verb which takes a direct object. This transitive verb is a verb that takes an indirect object and a direct object. An intransitive verb is a verb that does not take a direct object. A finite verb is a verb which shows number and tense. A non-finite verb does not show number and tense. Good. Dynamic verb is a verb that can be used in progressive aspect, that's ing form. A stative verb cannot be used in a progressive aspect, that's ing form. Good. Now look at this exercise. Underline the verbs in the following sentences. Let's do it quickly because time is up. He slept in the house. We finished the work. They have eaten lunch. She has seen her friend. The boys have completed their task. The bag is on the table. I saw him in the market, etc. Now look at the correction. The underlined words here are the verbs. Sentence 1, you have slept. He slept in the house. Slept is the verb. We finished the work. Here, finished is the verb. They have eaten lunch. Have eaten is the verb. She has seen her friend. Has seen is the verb. The boys have completed their work. Have completed is the verb. The bag is on the table. Is the verb. I saw him in the market. Sure is the verb. He sings beautifully. Sings also is the verb. We move on. Now take another classwork. State whether the underlined verbs in the following sentences are regular or irregular. What are the underlined verbs? You have them: slept, finished, eaten, seen, completed, is saw, sings, knows, and went. Let's get the correction. Good. The verb slept is irregular verb. Finished is a regular verb. Eating irregular verb. Seen irregular verbs. Completed regular verbs is irregular verb. Saw, verb, sings, irregular verb. Knows, irregular verb. Went, irregular verb. What makes them irregular? Because their past tense and past participles are not formed by adding D or ED. So we move on. Now take this assignment. You do it before our next lesson. Complete this table. What is in the table? You have words here, verbs. Some are put in present tense. Others are put in past tense. Some are in past participle. The one in present tense give their past tense and past participle. Now, the ones that are in past tense give their present tense and past participle. The ones in past participles give their present tense and their past tense before our next lesson. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson, and I'm hoping that you will no longer be saying, I'm understanding you. You will no longer be saying, I'm against the motion. You will no longer say, I am hearing you. I expect you to say, I against the motion, I hear you, I understand you, instead of adding ing to those verbs. So I thank you very much all for your kind attention, and I wish you all the best. Hope to see you in our subsequent presentation. Stay at home, follow your lessons on TV, avoid crowded places, always wash your hand with soap. God will bless you, inshallah. Thank you very much.